Let's take a closer look now to today's biggest sports talking points. Joining me are Mike Adams, former national football coach with Grenada, and Segun Jegede. Gentlemen, let's start with the Ryder Cup. I think golf fans really excited now with this huge tournament. We heard from the team captains there, Paul McGinley and Tom Watson. What is the role of the team captains? How important are the captains in this event? We're always hearing that it's so important that the captains have to lead by example.
Well, it is. I mean, I think not only is it by their track record in match play, I think that the other thing is that they're looking for leadership. And, of course, these are the people who choose the pairings. And that is critical because it requires tactical nous, a real understanding of the opponent, and to a degree, in golf's a gentleman's game, but there's also a psychological kind of sledging going on between them, and the captains have to be very, very strong characters. Yeah, no doubt passions are going to run high. Segun, we're hearing that Sir Alex Ferguson has been asked by the European captain McGinley to address the team on the eve of the tournament. Can this work? Will this work as a motivating tool?
Definitely, it has to work. The captain must have had a good thought about it. And when you have someone like Alex Ferguson coming up and talking to your team, that's very, very good motivation for everyone. Alex Ferguson, back in his football coaching days, was a big figure. So they're hoping he's going to transfer his skills into golf and help everyone to get going really well.
Some will say he should be perhaps motivating the troops at Old Trafford, Mike, but...
They told him to go away.
Yeah, but so much talk has centred on Rory McIlroy. He is the superstar, the world's greatest golfer at the moment. He must be feeling the pressure. He didn't have the best Ryder Cup last time around. He almost missed his tee-off time. Is he a different animal now because he is now the world's greatest golfer?
I think that is, you've hit it on the head. He is, he's matured. I mean, we were saying this about him going into the competitions before he won the singles competitions that he's amassed this year. And I think the thing that we've got to look at with McIlroy, he's matured in such a way that he's a completely different beast. I think he's in a place where he understands what pressure is. I still have that picture in the Open where he was strolling up to the 18th and it was like he'd done this all his life.
Yeah.
And that wasn't something that we'd seen before. So I think he's in a completely different place. And he's definitely the man to beat. But this competition won't be won on McIlroy's form. The Ryder Cup is about all the other players. You know, McIlroy, people will think his points are in the bag. It's going to be about the others.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen before how at times the Americans seem to have had better players on paper, but we've seen Europe win in the past. This time it's the other way around, Segun. Europe has the much better team. 4 out of the 5 world's top players are European. It's dangerous, though, to discount the Americans in a team competition like this, isn't it?
It's very, very dangerous. When you have a team sport like this, every individual counts and they matter. And I think the Americans, they're not taking it lightly. You can see the captain speaking over there. He said a lot of things. They're trying to gear and rear everybody to keep going. It's going to be an interesting one because I don't think they're going to give it up easily. Because they have a bad record against Europe.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, that tournament kicks off on Friday. Let's talk about Qatar. They're now come out insisting that the tournament will be held in their country in 2022. This, of course, this is after the FIFA member broke ranks, the German member, saying that he thinks it will be moved because of the stifling temperatures. Mike, surely it's time now for FIFA to come out and either put up or shut up and say whether the tournament will be held there or not, because it's leading to a lot of confusion, isn't it?
Anil, I couldn't have put it better myself. I mean, that is exactly what is required. But the fact of the matter is, FIFA have got egg on their face. The competition should never have gone to Qatar. These things and these conditions were known before. So ultimately, this is the unravelling of something that's bigger.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing. If it goes ahead, it's going to be a shambles. FIFA have got a lot to answer for on this one.
It looked like 6 months ago, Segun, that the compromise was going to be it will be staged in Qatar, but in the winter. But do you think the European leagues are going to be happy about that? Because surely it's going to take a lot of restructuring, isn't it?
It's going to mess up a whole lot of things. So, I mean, and Europe being a major force in football in the world, I don't think FIFA will want to step on Europe's toes. You know, they've done a bit of it, but going all that way out to sort of move it, it's a big mess. At this stage, FIFA have to come out and say something bold, but they can't be bold because they've got themselves in this mess. It's quite unfortunate, really, but they have to sort it out one way or the other. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, but Mike, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Yes, say FIFA does do the unlikely thing and move it away from Qatar. You can see Qatar then suing FIFA, saying we've built all these stadiums. What are we meant to be doing? Whatever happens, either way, this could get stuck in the courts for a long time.
Well, it could get stuck in the courts, but ultimately, football and the game is a global sport, and football has to be the winner. Ultimately, you don't have anything to argue about if you don't have the footballers and you don't have the competition. And common sense needs to prevail here.
But what about those who say, well, we've never had a World Cup in the Middle East, it's time to extend the game? Segun,
yeah,
is there any...
I think that they have a point, because if you're saying football is a unifying factor and you're saying it shouldn't be held in one place or it should be, you know, it's a very tricky situation where FIFA have gotten themselves in. Maybe they didn't think deep enough about all this sort of mess that's come about. Because for me, I've said to people in the past that, OK, we're saying football is a universal game. They should be able to host it everywhere. But with the weather conditions, you know, that's going to make it very difficult. So I'm not sure I can help FIFA out on this.
And I suppose, Mike, even if they do stage a tournament in the summer and they make the stadiums all, you know, full of air conditioning, what about the poor fans outside? It could be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, I think that we're looking at a situation where, and Segun touched upon it, this has not been thought through. Ultimately, if it had been thought through, you'd realise that, yes, you want the global outreach of football, but you've also got to make the game playable, you've got to make it entertaining, you've got to think about the crowds, and you've got to say to yourself that sometimes, actually, it's not suited to there.
And just quickly, how do you see this being resolved? Do you think, ultimately, FIFA will stick with Qatar?
Well, I think that what we're seeing is that there are people inside the FIFA ranks who were never for it, and there are people who inside FIFA who'd already done the deal.
Yes.
And what we are going to see over the months is how that pans out.
Yes.
Is that who's going to be the stronger voice out of those two? It's clear that Blatter was for Qatar, and it's a matter of, you know, do the Blatter forces win over on this one, or the football community generally is saying this should not be in Qatar.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just Blatter. UEFA President Platini also went with Qatar, but gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. For more of a look at the day's talking points, I'm rejoined by Mike Adams, former national coach with Grenada, and Segun Jegede. Gentlemen, let's start with the conundrum that is Wayne Rooney. Mike, 160 goals for Manchester United, 41 goals currently for England, yet Louis van Gaal doesn't think he's good enough to cut it as a striker with Manchester United. Do you agree with him?
Yes, in the terms when you match him up against somebody like Falcao. Falcao is a goal machine. So if you're comparing the two in that context, you've got to say that that's a right decision. And if you want to play Rooney, then you're going to play him in behind. To say that he's not a striker, maybe that's going a bit far.
Yeah.
But if you're comparing him to Falcao, as a striker, Rooney isn't at the level that Falcao is. That's a superb player.
Yeah, although Falcao is, of course, coming back from that nasty knee injury. You'd have to think, though, Segun, why on earth did Van Gaal make him captain if suddenly his position is kind of under threat? Because he's also got to compete with Mata playing behind the front two as well.
I think in choosing a captain, you look for a leader and you look for other things within the club. Rooney's been there for a long time. He's scored a lot of goals, and he's always going to be Rooney that will push to midfield, because Rooney is a utility player. He can play in any part of, you know, the midfield, up front, or just off the strikers. So I mean, if he said that, he's probably thinking, because Rooney can play in different positions, he'd rather have Rooney there than Van Persie or Falcao. So I think that's the only decision he can make. So he has to choose nice words to sort of sum it up, but that's how it is.
I mean, to be fair to Rooney, he's also admitted, Mike, that his game has changed. He is obviously getting on. If he's not playing striker for Man United, does he warrant a place in the England team as the number 9?
As the number 9? Well, again, what we've seen this over the years, that what happens at international level doesn't necessarily transcend itself at club level. So I think that he's still looked at by Hodgson in the way that he can be a striker. I also think they play a different type of football at the international level that might suit Rooney playing up top. So it's kind of a little bit different in that respect. Because he is a versatile player, that can be his problem. Unlike a Van Persie, who is a striker. You can't play him in midfield. You can't play him anywhere else. Rooney is versatile, and in that respect, there'll always be that argument: is where is he better? Is he better in that number 10 position? Is he better up top? And the pundits have been arguing that long before this Van Gaal issue came up.
Yeah, sure. I think this is a debate that will continue. Let's talk about the perils of social media and Twitter. Both Andy Murray and Gary Lineker getting themselves into a spot of bother. Let's talk about Andy Murray first, Segun. Surely he's, perfectly entitled to voice his opinion, although he's been absolutely really vilified by those in the no campaign. Obviously, Scotland did vote no, but do you think Andy Murray was treated unfairly by those on social media?
I think, Andy Murray is only a human being. He got himself in hot water some time ago as well, something similar like this. But you have to give credit to him. He's come back, as a professional person and said, well, he hasn't said he's made a mistake, but he's saying things were done, because he's Scottish. And you have to take that into context.
Absolutely.
So, for someone like Gary Lineker as well, he's a Leicester man thick and through, so people do get emotion sometimes, even though they have responsible jobs to look after, but that's how it happens.
But Mike, on the flip side, so many times our sports stars have been accused of bland, boring. In a way, isn't it good that we're hearing sports stars, whether they've retired or like Andy Murray still playing, get passionate? Obviously, bad language isn't to be endorsed, but you want your sports stars to be passionate, whether it is about sport or politics.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think the biggest frustration for me looking at this from the sidelines is the fact that these people do a fantastic job as ambassadors for their countries in what they put out and in what they say. But any opportunity that we get to bring them down, we're on them. Just because they want to share a bit of that passion. And that, to me, is not acceptable. I say more power to both Lineker and to Andy Murray for expressing their views.
And just quickly, I just want one tiny response on this incredible story of Sandro being injured while celebrating a goal in training. Harry Redknapp's not going to be a happy guy, is he?
No, he's not. These things that players get carried away. It's a bit of banter, a bit of showmanship, and it's gone too far. He's got injured.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see how long Sandro is out. Gentlemen, as always, a pleasure.